how many people are going to be around on a Wednesday afternoon. But hopefully a good few. Let me just get a little bit closer and sort this out. There we go. Ooh. Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. You'll notice that I'm on the floor today, not at my desk. The reason that I'm on the floor is because in today's stream I'm going to be filling this bookshelf with books. I mentioned in my first stream that most of my stuff has been in boxes recently because I was planning on moving house, but it didn't work out. So I've just gotten round recently to getting everything unpacked. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. As you can see, if I pan a little bit to the side, I've got two huge boxes here full of books and one bookshelf to put them on. And I thought it'd be the perfect thing to do in a live stream because I think you can tell quite a lot about someone by the kind of books that they own. So I'm going to unload these books onto that shelf and hopefully by doing so you'll get to know me a little bit better. In the meantime, of course, you can feel free to ask me any questions. Just like in my previous live stream, this is intended to be a Q&A, so ask away. And I've also got a new moderator who is going to be helping me to keep control of some of the comments. Last stream, I got over 3,000 spam comments, so hopefully we'll deal with that a little bit better today. And I'll be able to see your actual legitimate questions because they won't be drowned out in spam. But that's the plan. We're going to get on with it. Hopefully we'll be going for about an hour, just like on Monday. And yeah, that's all there is to it. So let's get started. Here's box one. I'll move the camera a little bit and we'll start unpacking and see what we've got. Move some of these bigger ones, we'll get to them later. Ooh. There we go. So what I'll be doing is I'll be getting out each book. I'll tell you where I got it and when, if I can remember. And then we'll hopefully be trying to fit them all onto the bookshelf. So first book we got here is Lost Japan. I actually got this as a Secret Santa from one of my friends at university in 2019, as far as I remember. It's a really interesting book about Japanese culture, history, and the author actually grew up in Yokohama as well. So, yeah, fantastic read. That one's going on the shelf. What do we got next? Pocket French Dictionary. I have not read this. I don't actually have any interest in learning French. Sorry to the people of France. I had quite enough of that in school. But I do have a Pocket French Dictionary anyway. Next up, War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. One of my favourite books. One of the first ever books of modern sci-fi as we know it. And yeah, thoroughly interesting read. I'm sure if you haven't read it, you'll have heard of it because it's, you know, widely believed to be like the genesis of modern science fiction. So yeah, great read. Just put that on the shelf. 1984. Of course I have 1984. Yes, I have read it. I haven't actually read this copy of it, but I have read the book before. I got this copy from Waterstones about 3 or 4 years ago, and you know, there's really not much to say about this. You've all heard of this book. Next up, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the complete 5-part trilogy. You can see at the top there. Actually, you can't see at the top because the camera's mirrored, but it says at the top, the complete trilogy of 5. Absolutely one of the funniest, one of the most amazing sci-fi book series of all time. Douglas Adams, I think you can't really overstate how much of an influence he's had on sci-fi in like the last few decades, specifically like comedic sci-fi. And yes, it is a trilogy in 5 parts. That is not my words, that is the words of the author itself. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a 5-part trilogy. And there it is, all in one book. Next up, a non-fiction book. We got The Observer's Book of Astronomy. I am, well, very into astronomy. We'll get to later. I'm very obsessed with space in general. Unfortunately, I don't get time to do much, sky watching because I don't have a telescope. I'd love to have one. It's one of those things that I've always said if I had money, I'd get a decent telescope. But yeah, if I did have money, I would get a decent telescope and I would use this astronomy book to actually look at the stars. But either way, even if I'm not using it, it's a good book. Next up, we've got a field guide to birds of the British Isles. And as you can see on the front is a kingfisher. I am big on bird watching. I believe I've mentioned it before. I love birds, and this field guide is a really good book. It's got colour pictures of various birds, and it shows you in the corner of each picture whereabouts you can find them in the British Isles. Not much more to say about that one. Great book. I'll stick it on the shelf. What do we got next? Hold on a second. Okay, here we've got the AB Guide to Music Theory. This book was actually given to me by my violin teacher, Mr. Jones, many years ago. I don't know if Mr. Jones is still around. I certainly hope so. He was my violin teacher for about 4 or 5 years, if I remember correctly, and great teacher, taught me everything I know about music theory, and yeah, this book was from him. What's next? Card games. I'm quite into card games. My uncle got me this book. He actually taught me all the card games that I know. And he himself, obviously, is also really big on card games. Great book. If you're interested in card games, which, again, I am. It's, yeah, not really much else that I can say about that. It's a book about card games. Military aircraft markings. Okay, this one is actually not something that I am particularly interested in. I'm not really a huge fan of planes. I think, they're good enough, and I did have a bit of an airfix phase in my childhood, but not really a huge fan of aeroplanes in general. But this was a gift from my granddad. Got it many years ago. It's a really good book, side profile, colour pictures of various aircraft. And yeah, even if it's not something I'm particularly interested in, the book's quite nice. Oh, now we get on to a series of books. Red Dwarf. I have all 4 books in the Red Dwarf series. Yes, I'm a big fan of Red Dwarf. I've got the original book, the sequel, Better Than Life, Backwards, which is the 3rd book, and the final book, Last Human. And in addition to this, I've also got a hardback version of Backwards. So if you're not familiar with Red Dwarf, it's a British sci-fi sitcom, and my godfather, who partly helped me to get into Red Dwarf, got me all of these books. I've read all of them except Last Human, the final book in the series, and they are all based on the TV series itself. So if you do read them, you'll see where they were inspired. So yeah, that's Red Dwarf. Okay, let's see what's next. Aha! Just Brick It. This is a Lego book. This was from my nan a few years ago. It's not really an instruction book. It's more like an inspiration kind of thing. It's got a few different ideas for various projects, you know, like fridge magnets, coasters, key holders, that sort of thing. And yeah, it's a pretty decent book. Okay, the shelf's filling out pretty nicely. I don't actually know if this bookshelf is going to have enough room for all of the books. There's only 3 shelves and they're not very wide, but we will put as many as we can on there. What's next? We have The Four Great Railways. Obviously, as discussed in my previous stream, I'm big on trains. And this book is about the 4 great railways, LNER, LMS, GWR and SR, that existed in the UK between 1923 and 1948. Good book. We're getting now more into the non-fiction ones, so I think we'll probably take a look at the big book pile here. These are the heavy ones. And most of these are about trains as well, fair warning. So we've got the Lost Lines of Britain, an AA guide, essentially a book of heritage railways in the UK. I haven't visited many heritage railways myself because it's expensive, but the book is a great reference point if you are interested in visiting heritage railways around the country. So that's heritage railways. That's the Lost Lines of Britain. The Family Library of Aircraft, another one from my granddad. Again, not something that I'm particularly interested in, but the book itself is greatly appreciated. It's an interesting read, and it's got pictures. Train book. This book does not actually have the name on the cover. It's called The Love of Trains. It says on the inside there. Basically just an encyclopedia of trains, and I've got quite a few encyclopedias of trains because, again, that's what I'm into. Not really much to say about this book other than the fact that it's almost impossible to tell what's the front and what's the back because it's the exact same on both sides. Next up, The World of Model Trains. Again, not much I can say about this one. If you're interested in railway modelling, then this is a good book. If you're not, then it won't be. And this is my one of my personal favourite books, The Great Book of Trains. The reason I love this book so much is because it has large-scale illustrated side profiles of various trains. I've had this book for like 10 or 15 years, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. It's one of my favourite books. And last but not least in the big books is this one. Again, nothing on the cover, but it's actually a book about space. You can see on the spine, it's called Space Exploration. And again, space, something that I'm a big fan of. I am obsessed with space. There was a time that I could remember the names of every single one of Jupiter's moons from memory. Was being the key word, I can't anymore. But space, another one of my great interests. And this is basically a space encyclopedia. So yeah, good book again. That's it for the non-fiction books for now. We'll get back into the fiction again. Here I've got 4 different books. These are all, they're called classic starts. They're sort of abridged, child-friendly versions of classic works of literature. I've had them for quite a few years. My parents got me them for Christmas one day. We've got Dracula, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and Frankenstein. 4 amazing books. Again, these are not like the full versions of these books. They're abridged to make them more readable for children. But I have read the adult versions of all of them, with the exception of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I've not read that one. So yeah, those are the classic starts. What's next? Okay, we have... Hold on a second. Oh. Sorry about that, my phone fell over. We have A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. You've probably heard of it, one of my absolute favourite book series of all time. If you haven't seen the Netflix adaptation, watch it because it's amazing and extremely book accurate, I've got to say. It's a 13-part series about 3 kids who have a miserable life, basically, but that's maybe downplaying it a little bit. It is a fantastic book series, and yeah, I've had these for quite a while. So that is Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events. I will have to put these on the shelf one by one because they are quite heavy. Okay, shelf's filling up quite nicely now. Let's have a look. Looking good. There's still a bit more space though, and we've got plenty more books to get through, so we'll have a couple more. I've seen yes, there was a film, Jim Carrey film, in 2003, I believe, but it only adapted the first 3 books, and wasn't the best, to be honest, but the highlight of the film was definitely Jim Carrey. Okay, next up we have The Hunger Games. Of course I have The Hunger Games. I've got a trilogy here, and I've also got a second copy of Mockingjay, the 3rd and final book in the series. Not much to say about those. You've all heard of The Hunger Games. You might not have read it, but you've definitely heard of it. So yeah, that's that. And if I have The Hunger Games, of course I've also got to have The Maze Runner, which I prefer to The Hunger Games, if I'm being absolutely honest. I absolutely adore The Maze Runner. The films... The first one, brilliant. The other 2, not so much in my opinion, but the books, absolutely amazing. As you can see, I've only got the 4 books. I believe that there was a 5th one a couple of years ago. But when I got these books, obviously there were only 4 out at the time. So yeah, I've just got the 4. But that is The Maze Runner by James Dashner. Okay, this box is nearly empty, and then we'll be on to box 2. What have we got here? We've got The World's Best Book. And I think this actually might be the world's best book, or when I first got it, it was the world's best book. I got this for Christmas many years ago, like 15 or so years ago. And it's basically a record book of sorts. It's got, you know, just obscure records from history and stuff like that. If I open to a random page, we've got the oldest surviving film, the biggest maze, the best weather forecasters, the most dangerous kangaroo, that kind of stuff. You know, it's just random little tidbits. It's a good book, though. And yeah, at the time I got it, I was absolutely obsessed with this book. I used to just spout random facts from it all the time. Great read. And last but not least, I have quite a collection of Doctor Who books. I've got these 3 paperback, and then I've got these hardbacks. There's the hardbacks. I haven't actually read most of these. I am a huge Doctor Who fan. I think you might have guessed from some of my other interests. I am a huge Doctor Who fan, but I haven't read many of these books. I've read like 2 or 3 of the hardback ones. I haven't read any of these paperback ones, but I've got them anyway because they're Doctor Who books and I've just got to have them. But yeah, that's those. I'm going to have to put these on top of the bookshelf for now because I'm running out of space on the actual shelves. But as you can see, we're already filling it out quite nicely. There's quite a lot on there. And we are at the end of box 1. Empty. So let's move on to box 2. Box 2, I'm going to be honest, is mostly DVDs, which are not going to be going on the shelf because we don't have room for them. But there are a few more books in here. We've got The Art of Aardman, which I bought from the M Shed, a museum in Bristol in 2019. Great museum. If you're ever in Bristol, check it out. But yeah, that's where I bought this from. It's a load of concept art, basically, from some of Aardman's works. We got some sketches here from Flushed Away. We've got some sketches from Chicken Run. Interestingly, the camp is actually covered in snow in the artwork, which is something that wasn't in the final film. That's interesting. But yeah, good little catalogue of concept art from Aardman. Obviously, big Aardman fan. Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, all absolutely great films. And yeah, that's The Art of Aardman. Okay, next up, another book of model railways. This one's called The Complete Railway Modelling. Again, not much that I can really say for the non-fans out there. If you're interested in railway modelling, good book. If you're not, then not so much. Another Wallace and Gromit book. Wallace and Gromit's Cracking Contraptions Manual. This one was actually a Christmas present. It's styled like a Haynes manual, and it's got sort of cutaway drawings of some of their inventions. Like here, the porridge cannon from A Close Shave. Really cool book. There is actually a second one, but unfortunately I never got it. It's probably still available. I could go out and get it. But yeah, this one, good enough for me. You can't really see very well because of the lighting in here. I'm right next to a window. But that's the Wallace and Gromit Contraptions Manual. Okay, next we have the Star Wars Essential Guide to Characters. Big Star Wars fan, of course. I'm a big Star Wars fan. This was from my dad. It's very old. I believe it's only the original trilogy, so there's really, it's not a comprehensive catalogue, but it's a really cool character encyclopedia, as you can see. And yeah, very treasured book that I've had for many years. That was a gift from my dad. Next up, The History of Trains. Another train book. Again, not much to say. It's a catalogue of trains. This one is, I've not really read as much as my other train-related books, but a good book anyway. The History of Trains. Okay, we are running out of space on the shelf now. But we are also nearly done with the books as well. We've got 3 books here. The Air Force Memorials of Lincolnshire, Wings Over Lincolnshire, and Flight Meet. Again, all plane-related books. Not really something that I'm interested in, but they were from my granddad, as were the other plane books that I've shown you. And yeah, there's not much I can say about them because it's not really my thing. But the books themselves, they're fairly all right. And finally, we have the Blockopedia. Of course, I've got to have a Minecraft book. I actually owned the original Blockopedia, the hexagon-shaped one, way back when. But if you know Minecraft, you'll be aware that it gets updated constantly. So this book and the one before it are already way out of date. It's not really a book that I use. I don't play Minecraft and think, oh, I'll have to go and look up sandstone stairs in my book. I don't really use it, but it's an interesting thing to have, and I'm quite happy to have it. So that's the Minecraft Blockopedia. And I think that's probably going to be all we can do in terms of books. I don't really have too many more, but the shelves are almost full as it is. I don't think you really need to watch me actually sorting the books out onto the shelves, because that would not be very interesting. But there they are. Those are all my books. All that's left in this box now is DVDs. Again, there's not really much I can say about DVDs. I don't really watch DVDs, but I've still got quite a few of them that have just, sort of kept hold of over the years. That's pretty much all I had for today. I was also going to mention I've got a few PS1 games, which are also going to go on this same bookshelf. And I'll talk you through those, because these are some of my favourite games of all time, and I think they're worth talking about. I do have a PS1, and I have these 6 games for it, these 6 iconic games, my 6 personal favourite PS1 games of all time. So I'll talk you through those. First of all, we have Ape Escape. If you haven't played Ape Escape, it's a really fun game. You basically capture apes. You run around with a big net and catch monkeys. It's a lot more fun than it sounds. Great game. Then we have Medieval 1 and 2, another iconic pair of PS1 games, which I have really enjoyed. But the crowning achievement, the crowning games in my collection are, of course, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, and Abe's Exodus. This is my favourite video game of all time. The first one's pretty good too, but Abe's Exodus, absolutely my personal favourite video game ever. I am a huge Oddworld fan. I've played every single game. I could speak for hours just about Oddworld, but I'm not gonna. So I'll just leave it at that. My favourite games ever, right here. And I'm lucky enough to have both of them for the PS1. And finally, Tomb Raider, the original. Not much to say about that. You've all heard of Tomb Raider. So those are my PS1 games. They're going on the shelf. And that... Oh, some of my books are falling over now. That's pretty much everything. That's pretty much all I had planned for today. So we are only half an hour in. We're only halfway through the stream. So I guess we'll spend the rest of the time doing a Q&A. If you have any questions you want to ask me about any of the books or about anything in general, please feel free to ask. And we'll try and keep this going for another half an hour or so before I call it a day. In the meantime, I'll just fold up the boxes that we ended up emptying today. And I suppose I could also give you a quick tour of my room now that I've gotten most of my stuff unpacked. When I did the stream on Monday, most of my stuff was still packed up. I've done a lot of unpacking over the last couple of days. So yeah, I might give you a little look around my room and show you some of the other stuff that I own, apart from the books. 1 second. There we go. Okay. So, any questions? I'll go and sit down now. Actually, now that I don't have to sit on the floor anymore, I can go and take my actual seat at my desk. There we go. That's better. My knees were starting to hurt on the floor. There we go. Do my parents watch my live? Probably not. They're both quite busy people. If you're trying to suggest in any way that they are, not accepting of me, they are. They just don't watch my TikToks because they're busy. Let's have a look back through the chat and see if there's any more legitimate questions. Okay, so not looking like there's a great deal of questions at the moment, so I guess I'll just keep talking to fill the space until we get a few more being asked. I did want to do a little bit of a room tour as well, as I've just mentioned, because things are looking a bit different in here to how they were the other day. If I pan over a little bit, you can see my bedroom. I'll take you around and show you some of the stuff that I've got that I think is particularly interesting. No, it's not a council flat. I actually live in a house. Not that there's anything wrong with living in a flat. Anyway, once again, I think you're trying to insinuate something about me that's just not true. But thanks anyway. Let's have a look around the room, shall we? So, we've got the bookshelf, obviously, first of all, which we just unloaded. We've got the shelves. I've got 3 of these floating shelves. The top one is for storage. The middle one is going to be for my Lego. At the minute, obviously, I've just got the Kingfisher on there, but once I've got my other Lego models unpacked, they're going to go on there as well. And the bottom shelf is for my trains. You can see I've actually turned it into a baseboard for my train set, and once that's up and running, I will be making videos about this on my channel as well, so please feel free to check them out. Let's go around again. Coffee table, getting rid of that, don't really need it. Clothes, not really interested in them. A cross stitch of a Lancaster bomber, if that interests anyone in particular. I'll zoom in, you can see it is in fact a cross stitch. Got that from a charity shop. Giant Nuka-Cola bottle cap on the wall. Star Wars R2-D2 cushion. There's not really much else to show, to be honest. There's the level crossing sign. Yes, that is a real level crossing sign. Funny story about it. When my granddad passed away a few years ago, we went to sort out his shed, and in it we found that. No idea where it came from. There's no level crossings anywhere near us. But that was there in the back of his shed, and obviously as someone who's obsessed with trains, I had to have it, so I did. I took it and I hung it up, and it actually does reflect as well, which is not great considering that it's next to a window. But yeah, that is a real, actual sign from a level crossing. Okay, over here on the top of my shelves here, you can see I've got a few more trains. These are 00 gauge. They're all static displays made of plastic, but they're really cool anyway from the various different railways near us. Not much more to say about those. Over here, we got Pride flag and a surprise that came just today. A unicycle. Yes, I bought a unicycle. So anyone, if you are aware of a TikToker called Sarah Bun, absolutely amazing trans femme content creator here on TikTok, you may have heard of her. And if you have, you'll know that she is a unicyclist. I reached out to her, asked her a few questions about, how I could get into unicycling, because it's something that I think would be really cool to do. And she was very helpful. She answered my questions, and I went ahead and bought that unicycle. I'm a little bit daunted at the idea of learning how to ride it, but it is something that I'm genuinely committed to. I think unicycles are really, they're so cool. They're so much more compact and so much cheaper than a bicycle. I love bicycling, but there's, obvious downsides to having a bike. So yeah, I think having a unicycle will definitely be an interesting experience. Yeah, It's going to be fun. Okay. Why do I go live when I get so much hate? Excellent question. Excellent question. Why do I do anything if I'm going to get so much hate? I get hate wherever I go. That's part of life for trans people. I truly don't care. You can ask as many questions as you like. You can say anything you like. I'm perfectly happy. I will continue to be happy, as much hate as you want to give me. It really doesn't matter. So yeah. Okay. Does that flag do everything for you? Okay, well, yeah. I mean, if you've been completely ignoring everything I've just said in the last 10 minutes, you might be fooled into thinking that I am a one-dimensional person whose only personality trait is me being trans. But again, if you were actually listening to anything that I've just said, that's not the case. I have many other hobbies and interests. I'm not just a trans person. There's so much more to me than that. There's so much more that I'd like to talk about. But of course, people won't ask me about those because they'll see the flag and just immediately think, oh, look, it's a trans person, it doesn't really get to me, but it confuses me. Like it confuses me that people say, oh, that you're just trans. Like, why do you make it your whole personality? Like, I don't make it my whole personality. As I've been discussing for the last half an hour, for this entire stream, basically, it's a very small part of my personality, actually. But yeah, if you want to keep believing that I make it my whole personality, you keep believing that. It's literally the whole wall. It takes up your whole wall. Okay, so here's the flag, and here's the part of the wall that doesn't have the flag on it. And as you can see, yeah, we'll just pan around the room. Yeah, keep on going. So yeah, the flag actually takes up about 10% of my wall, not my entire wall, but thank you anyway. Okay, any other questions? Why did it take until 2020? Why did it take until 21? Genuine question. That is a good question, actually. So I was actually 22 when I came out, not 21. It was just under 3 years ago. I don't really know why it took me so long to realize, to be quite honest. It's one of those things where there weren't really any signs. I feel like most trans people, they know, like, from a very young age, like from as young as 4 or 5, they know that they're trans. For me, it was a little bit different. I didn't really know until a lot later in my life, but once I figured it out, there were kind of, looking back, there were a lot of signs. You know what I mean? There were a lot of things that kind of hinted towards it, but I just didn't piece it together until a lot later. But it doesn't really matter what age somebody figures out that they're trans. People figure it out at all ages. There are 40, 50, 60-year-olds that realize that they're trans after living a whole life as their old gender. It does not matter when you come out, and no trans person is more or less valid based on what age they came out, right? My family just think it's a phase. No, they do not. I have been out for 3 years, and my family have actually been my biggest supporters. I realize I'm quite lucky to be in that position, but I do have a really supportive family. They've all been really great people. My stepmom was the first person I came out to, apart from my close friends, and she was really great about it. Everybody around me, just in general, is so nice about it. Literally, the only direct hate that I've experienced is online. Like, people in real life are just nice. They're just, people in general are a lot nicer in real life than they are online. I guess just because of the anonymity of being online, you can say whatever you please, but you wouldn't have the balls to actually say it to my face. So it is what it is. What's my female name? My female name is Saul. I kept my birth name. I've discussed this briefly in previous videos. I don't feel that I need to have a female name. I think a lot of trans people feel sort of pressured into changing their names. And, if you need to change your name, that's fair enough. A lot of people, their old name can bring up a lot of distressing memories that they'd rather not talk about. But to me personally, I think there's no such thing as male names and female names, right? Like there's just names, and it seems so crazy to me that like just because I now identify as a woman, I have to have a woman's name, right? My name's good enough for me. It's been my name for 25 years. It was my name for 22 years before I came out, and I'm very happy with it. I really love my name. Like genuinely, the name Saul I think is just the perfect name. I really have never had any, bad feelings about my name. And so yeah, when I came out, I thought I'm just going to keep my name. I'm just going to carry on calling myself Saul. And yeah, that's my name, Saul. Saul. Any other questions? I'll scroll back a little bit and see. Yes, don't worry. Plenty of people have made the Better Call Saul joke before. I think, a lot of people will, as soon as they hear the name Saul, they will think of Better Call Saul. But I actually got my name from the lead guitarist of Guns N' Roses because my dad is a big fan of Guns N' Roses. In fact, two of my other siblings, two sisters, are also named after members of Guns N' Roses. So yeah, that's where the name came from. It's not biblical. Obviously, there is a biblical Saul, and a lot of older people tend to ask, like, "Oh, is it Saul from the Bible?" No, it's not. I was not named after someone from the Bible. I was named after the guitarist from Guns N' Roses. Okay, let's have a little look back and see if any other questions are being asked. I think I'll call you Graham. Please don't call me Graham. My stepmom's boyfriend's actually called Graham, so it'd be pretty confusing, if I was also called Graham. So I'd rather you not do that. But, if you're gonna, then go for it. Okay. Again, another comment saying maybe just don't go live with all this. Why not? You're not really gonna stop me from live streaming just by leaving a few spam comments. Again, feel free, but it's not going to stop me. Are those real? Good question. Are these real? No, they are not. They are not real. I'm not on HRT. These are completely fake. It's all flat under there. Sorry. Okay. Any other questions? Because I feel like we've started to stagnate a little bit, and I don't want to just sit here in silence. If anyone wants to ask any other questions, please feel free. Oh, how long did it take you to recover from surgery? That's a bit of a personal question, but I will be happy to answer it because I haven't had surgery. Yeah, down there, it's all the way it was when I was born. A little bit bigger, obviously, but, is the LGBTQ plus support around me good? Interesting question. I think where I am is sort of okay. It's not exactly like a safe haven, but it's also not a horrible place. As I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty generally accepted by people around me. You know, even going out in public, it's pretty much, you know, nobody really gives a crap. Everyone's just fine with it, which is nice. Um, I am more. I'm in quite a lot of more LGBTQ plus friendly online spaces, which is great. And obviously, my some of my closest friends are also members of the community, which is good because I've always got someone to turn to. You know, my family very accepting and very open, but also they don't necessarily understand the issues that I face because they don't have the same experiences. So, as nice as they are, it's also nice to be able to talk to people who actually do have those experiences and can sort of sympathize with me a little bit more. Somebody keeps spamming, do you use the ladies' toilets? The answer is no, I do not use public toilets at all. I hate using the toilet in public. So don't worry, I'm not going into women's toilets. I'm not going into men's toilets. I just don't use the toilet in public, full stop. Love your sweater. Thank you very much. This it's actually a dress, believe it or not. I'm wearing it as a shirt right now. I've got jeans on, but it is actually a midi dress. But yeah, it's very, very comfortable, very warm, and I like the colours. Yeah, why the obsession with toilets? Literally, like, um, I don't think it really needed to be asked in the first place. But yeah, just to clarify, please stop being so obsessed with toilets. Like, it doesn't really matter what toilet I use. I don't use any toilets in public anyway. But even if I did, you know, who cares? The answer is literally no one cares. Like, just let people use the toilets that they want to use. But that's again not the point of this discussion. Let's not start arguments. Uh, any other questions? I'm going to keep going for about another 15 minutes, and then I think we'll wrap it up. Obviously, we're not getting quite as many questions as we got last week. Not last week, on Monday, sorry. Okay. I make women feel unsafe. Okay, yeah. Well, you know, again, not to try to start a massive argument, but I have a mum, two stepmums, two sisters. I have aunts. I have nieces. I have cousins. I have an absolute ton of female relatives, and not one single one of them feels unsafe around me. So I think to say that I make women feel unsafe, especially when it's a man saying that I make women feel unsafe, you know, you're just making stuff up. No, I don't make anyone feel unsafe. Look at me. Look at how skinny I am. Look at how weak and scrawny I am. I could not possibly make any human being feel unsafe. I'm not being funny. How do you have two stepmums? I have two stepmums because my dad has had three girlfriends. My mum, then he had another girlfriend, and now he has another girlfriend. So therefore, two stepmums. Pretty simple. Okay. Okay, great questions. Again, as always, um, I was hoping that today we might actually get some real questions, but sadly not the case. Obviously, comments are just being filled with spam again, as usual. Do you think trans representation in the media is mostly negative? That's a good question, and the answer is yes, I do. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious from these comments. Every single person leaving a spam comment has never actually spoken to a trans person in real life. Everything that you know about trans people is what you've heard in the media, and the media is overwhelmingly negative. Like, and I mean that genuinely. Like, every single negative thing that you think about trans people is something that you've been told to think by the media, because you are incapable of thinking for yourself. And I can guarantee that if you actually just spoke to a real trans person for 5 minutes, you would not be saying half of the things that you are saying, right? That's just a fact. The media, especially in this country and especially in the last few years, has been incredibly hostile towards trans people. It's all fear-mongering. It's the same as any other kind of fear-mongering. The world is a messed up place and they need someone to blame, and we just happen to be the target at the moment. So we'll get over it. Okay, any other questions? Does the possibility of Trump getting back in scare you as a trans person? Not particularly. First of all, I think it's pretty much impossible that it's going to happen. And second of all, I live in the UK, so it doesn't massively affect me. In the UK, obviously, we have a general election coming up next month, and it's pretty much a guarantee that the Conservative Party are going to lose that. I don't want to make any sort of political comment, but I think you can probably guess which party I won't be voting for. We'll say no more about that. I'm not really scared. I think again, the way things are, people in general are much more accepting than the media would have you believe. And as much as these political parties keep trying to tell you that we the trans people are the enemy, I don't think most people actually believe that. Like, in online spaces, yeah, but out in the real world, people don't actually have a problem with trans people. Not anywhere near the level of hatred that they want you to think exists. Like, most people are just okay with us. Most people don't really care at all, to be honest. Like, the vast majority of people are just indifferent to trans people, right? It's a very small minority that hate us, and the only reason that you hate us is because you've been told to by the media. Okay. Any other questions? We got another 10 minutes and then we'll wrap it up. Don't worry, I'm used to negative comments. Feel free. Again, I made a video about this yesterday, actually, if you want to go and check it out. You can leave any comments you want. Every single comment is appreciated, even the negative ones. Call me a man, call me mentally ill, call me a child groomer, call me absolutely anything you want. I truly do not care. So, keep it coming. At the end of the day, all you're doing is boosting my videos. So continue. Get well soon. I'm not ill, thank you. But again, keep on spamming. Keep on spamming. It happened on the Monday stream. I actually got over 3,000 people spammed the word gay, which was fun. We haven't actually quite managed to reach that level of spam this week, unfortunately. But there's still time. There's still 10 minutes left. So keep it coming. Keep those negative comments coming. I mean it. I'm serious. I'm not exaggerating. This is not like reverse psychology. I genuinely want you to keep on commenting. I just a comment is a comment, whether it's good or bad. So just keep going. What's your opinions on religious views on it? Interesting question. I don't really know. I think in general, there's no reason for the major religions to be against trans people, and I know a lot of religious people who aren't against trans people. Before you start spamming in the chat, Leviticus, whatever and whatever, I'm not religious myself. I have friends and family who are religious, and again, I think even most religious people are generally quite accepting. It's another one of those things which I think is twisted, especially in the media. There's a lot of this idea that Christians are inherently against trans people. It's just not true. A lot of Christians are not against trans people. Some Christians are trans people. I follow trans Christians here on TikTok, right? Like, there's absolutely no reason that religion should inherently be opposed to trans people, right? It's just another one of those things that certain people use their religion as an excuse to justify their transphobia, but the majority of religious people don't really care. I'm also a pianist. Hi, hello, welcome to the stream. I do have another piano video coming up this week, which is actually I'm quite looking forward to. If you are not aware, my content used to be entirely piano videos. It's how I got started on TikTok. And I still do piano videos. This week I am actually reshooting my first ever my first ever piano video. Sorry, I was reading a comment there. My mind wandered. My first ever piano video on TikTok 3 years ago was Emerald Hill Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And I've just recorded a reshooting of it in 2024. I wanted to I thought it'd be interesting to remake my first video just to see, so that you can see how different I am and how much I've changed in those few years. That video is probably going to be up on Friday. So yeah, if you want to see that, then please feel free to follow. If you want to see any other piano videos in general, I've been playing piano for about 8 years, and I've owned my current piano for about 3. Okay, any other questions? You need Jesus? Okay, thank you for saying so. I've literally just finished talking about how religion is not inherently against trans people. I'm not religious myself, but I believe that if Jesus does exist, he will love me the same as he loves everyone else, because I'm not evil, I'm not a bad person, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just trying to live my life and be happy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think that any religion should really have a reason to think that there's anything wrong with that. Okay. How long have I been? Yeah, I've been playing for 8 years with the piano. And again, 4 of those years have been on an actual piano. Before that, I just had a mechanical keyboard. Adam's apple. I do have an Adam's apple, yes. As you can see, it's quite a nicely defined, a nice big Adam's apple, Everybody has that cartilage here in their trachea. It just happens that some people who are usually men, have a slightly larger one. Doesn't make me any less of a woman. I'm quite proud of my Adam's apple, actually. I'm sure it's bigger than yours, so... Yes, if there's any other part of my physical appearance you want to poke fun at, I don't care. Yes, I've got broad shoulders. Yes, I've got an Adam's apple. Yes, I've got a nice, defined, sharp jaw. These are all parts of my body that I have and that I'm perfectly okay with, and insulting those parts of my body is not going to affect me at all, but feel free to carry on. I've got big ears as well, if you want to call me out on that one. I've got quite large nostrils, I've got quite big eyes. These are all parts of me that you are absolutely free to comment on. Can't continue doing so. Don't really care. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left, so if there's any other questions, please ask them now before the chat gets overwhelmed with spam comments again, which it seems to be going that way. It started a bit later this week than it did last time. It was almost straight away on Monday, but this time a little bit longer it took to get here. But as always, this is just the reality of being a trans person online. You know, you get comments like that, and you just have to ignore them. How's it going? At last, a question. It's going well. It's been a pretty good day today on the whole. As I've just I've showed you around the room earlier, I've been quite busy over the last couple of days unpacking and tidying the room a little bit because most of my stuff was boxed up. So it's been a busy couple of days getting stuff unpacked and sorting things out. But it's all done now, and I'm quite happy to have finally gotten it all done. Oh, do I play any other instruments apart from the piano? Good question. I used to play violin. Violin was the first instrument I played, but I gave it up a few years ago. I do also own a ukulele, but I can't really play it. So it's pretty much just the piano. Do I play all types of music? Yes, I do. On the channel, I originally started off playing just music from video games. But later on started to branch out into other stuff. I play stuff from film and TV as well now. But I play music from across all kinds of genre, from all genres, classical, country, rock, pop, just music in general. I don't really have a particular taste in music. I like certain pieces of music, if that makes sense. Like I don't like rock music, for example, but there are certain rock songs that I like. Yeah, I don't have a specific taste. I just like certain pieces. Okay, we are nearly at the end now, so last opportunity to ask any questions you might have, and then I'm probably going to wrap it up in just a few moments. In case you're wondering what I'm drinking, by the way, it's Rubicon. Love Rubicon, Rubicon Mango. What's my favourite food? Interesting question. I think my favourite food is probably pie. I like pie. I like chicken pie in particular, but pie in general. If you ask me what I want for tea, it will probably be pie. It's the kind of meal that you can just get home after a long day and sit down and have a pie. It's just a nice comfort meal. Yeah, I like pie. In terms of my favourite dessert, cheesecake. Absolutely, unequivocally, cheesecake. Okay, we're back to the spam comments. So yeah, probably not going to get any more genuine questions today, which is to be expected. I'm not going to end the stream just because it's exactly 4:00. No, that's not how it works. There's not a defined endpoint that I have to end the stream at. What kind of cheesecake? Good question. Lemon. I'm gonna maybe a bit controversial, but I'm gonna say lemon. Lemon cheesecake is the best cheesecake. The worst cheesecake, I don't want to say strawberry because it is good, but I feel like it's a bit basic. It's like the cheesecake. It's the classic cheesecake, and I think it's a bit overrated. So if I had to pick a worst one, sorry, strawberry, it's probably going to be you. Okay, yeah, so I think in all likelihood we're probably not gonna get many more questions. Saying that, a couple have just popped up. Am I a fan of other circular sliced foods? Wow, what a question! That's I've never thought about it like that before, but I suppose yes. I think circular foods are interesting. I like pizza, I like pie, I like cake. Yeah, I've never thought about that before, but yeah, I guess round foods are particularly interesting to me. Do my parents like me? Yes, they do. They absolutely adore me. I have the most wonderful parents in the world. I have two brothers and two sisters, and all five of us are loved equally by both of our parents. So thank you for your concern, but yes, I am extremely loved. I'm adored. Not to brag, but my parents kind of love me. You know, do your parents love you? Maybe ask yourself that before you ask me. Um, yeah. Are you going on holiday this year? No, I'm not. I don't really go on holiday much. I we used to every year we used to go on a caravan holiday to the seaside. I've never been abroad. I just want to put that out there. But we used to go for a week away at the seaside once a year, which was really fun. But obviously, now that we're all older, we don't really do that anymore. But I think there's so many great places to visit here in the UK, and obviously I would like to go abroad at some point. There are so many countries that I'd love to visit, but also I think people really don't realize how many great places there are to visit in the UK. I've been to some amazing places in the UK. I live right next to the Peak District, and you know, as a teenager, we used to go almost every single weekend to the Peak District and climb whatever hill was nearest. It's one of my favorite places in the world to visit. Um, you know, there's the Lake District, there's the Scottish Highlands, there's the Cotswolds. There's just so many amazing, beautiful places in this country that I think you know people don't really appreciate. So again, yeah, never been abroad. I'd like to go, but also I like it here. The people maybe not so much sometimes, but the countryside itself, yeah, love it. Widfa. Oh, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Widfa is, yeah, the tallest mountain in Wales. Never been. I'd like to do like a tour of all the mountains, of all the tallest peaks in the UK. I think that'd be something really cool to do. Obviously, in England, we've got Scafell Pike. In Scotland, there's Ben Nevis. I'd like to do like a tour of every country in Britain and Ireland and visit like the tallest mountains in each country. I think that'd be a really cool thing to do because I'm someone who's very interested in not necessarily mountain climbing, but in hiking and walking. Yeah, I think that'd make an interesting little tour of the country. I have been to Wales. When I say I've never been abroad, I don't really count Wales as abroad because it's part of the UK, right? But I have been to Wales on three occasions. And yes, it is a lovely place. The last time we went to Cardigan Bay, which absolutely gorgeous place, like so beautiful. I think I really can't say enough how amazing of a place Cardigan is. We went to Newquay. In fact, I've actually got here a coaster which I got from Newquay. Absolutely beautiful town. And the drive there, we drove right through all the Welsh mountains, and the view was incredible. Yeah, an amazing country. It's got to be said. I absolutely love Wales. I think Wales is an amazing place. It's, you know, again, like the rest of the UK, there's so many amazing places to see, so many amazing things to do that I think people are not necessarily aware of. And one place in particular that I'd love to visit in Wales is the Talyllyn Railway. Um, if you are not aware, the Talyllyn Railway was the first preservation railway in the world. It's a narrow gauge railway in Wales, which I have always wanted to visit, and hopefully we'll get around to visiting at some point in the next few years. But yeah, the Talyllyn Railway, recommend. Okay, any more questions? I mean, I could end the stream now because we have already been going for more than an hour, but I think we are actually starting to get some genuine questions coming through, so I will keep on going for a little bit longer. Favorite sport? I'm not really a sporty person. That's not to say that I'm not an athletic person. I do exercise, but I don't really like play sports all that much. Most of my exercise is just like solo stuff, like cycling and walking and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I'm not very big on sports. Usually, when I get out of the house to exercise, I go by myself. I go on a nice long walk, or a jog, or a bike ride, or whatever else it might be. And now, obviously, as I showed you earlier, I've got a unicycle. So as soon as I've learnt to ride that, I'm hopefully going to be taking that all over the place. I want to use it basically in the same way that I use a bike now, just as a thing to get about on. So yeah, quite excited to start using that. If you weren't here earlier when I showed it, I have a unicycle here. 1 second. I have a unicycle, which I literally bought today. Well, I bought it a few days ago. It arrived today, and I'm really excited to learn how to ride it. Because yeah, I'm big on bikes. I've always ridden bikes most of my life, but bikes are quite big. They're quite cumbersome. I don't really have anywhere to put a bike, so yeah, the unicycle hopefully will be a cheaper and more compact alternative to a bike. Once I've learned how to ride it, of course. How much was it? It was £50. Yeah, that unicycle was only £50 on Amazon. I didn't want to get like a high quality, high end unicycle because there is a small possibility that I might be objectively bad at it and give up after a few weeks. Hopefully not. But you know, I thought if there's that risk there, I'd rather buy a cheap one rather than spending money on a more expensive one that might not get used. So yeah, it was only 50 quid off Amazon. I'm looking forward to trying it out. Okay, any more questions? What is the country's flag behind me? That is transgender flag. I do actually have a Japan flag as well, but that's not up at the moment. Okay, the toilet question is coming up again, so I will answer it one more time just for the record. I do not use public toilets. Full stop. So no, I don't use women's toilets. Does that answer your question? Hopefully. Okay. Have I had any plastic surgery yet? No. I don't plan on having any plastic surgery, actually, believe it or not. I'm quite happy with the way that I look as I am, to be quite honest. I want to go on HRT, obviously, just so that these can become real. But apart from that, I don't really want to change too much about myself. I'm very comfortable with how I look right now. Yeah, I definitely am not considering plastic surgery of any kind. Is that my real hair? Yes, this is my real hair. I've been growing this for just over 3 years now. I've actually made a video about this on my account that you can go and watch if you're interested. When I was younger, I used to have my hair shaved. Like, I used to have a very close shave at all times. and I hated it, but I did it anyway because it was low maintenance and I couldn't be bothered to look after my hair properly. But now that I'm older, and especially since coming out as trans, I've been a lot more comfortable in looking after my hair. So yeah, I've been growing it ever since. This is 3 years of growth. In fact, I'll take my bobble out to show you it. Yes, this is the result of 3 years of growth. I haven't had it cut for 3 years. So that's my hair. I'm going to tie it back up because I don't want it getting in my face at the moment. There we go. Okay. Anyone else? Any more questions? Okay, we're back to spamming gay, obviously. Can't have an original thought, can we, guys? We've got to just repeat the same spam comments that we did last time because that'll work. Feel free to continue, but if anyone does have any more genuine questions, then feel free to ask those as well. What hair products do I use? Good question. None, actually. This is the result of Head & Shoulders. That's it. I have a bath every day. I wash this with Head & Shoulders every day, and that's it. That is literally all the hair care I do. And yeah, and it's fine. I think, you know, if you want to style your hair, if you want to gel it or volume it with spray or whatever, then more power to you. But I'm perfectly happy to just keep mine as it is. So yeah, all I do is give it a wash with some Head & Shoulders every day, and there we go. That's it. Should have a horse plait. I would love to plait it. I'd love to style it a little bit more. The thing is, I don't really know how. Like, I'm not an expert in hair at the moment. I'm happy enough to just have it growing. But I would love to like go and get it like properly styled at some point and try it a different way. That would be really cool. Has your fashion style changed since the beginning of your transition? Yes, it has. Absolutely. I used to wear, and if you look at some of my older photos on TikTok, you can see I used to wear braces, suspenders, every day, every single day. They were just a part of my standard everyday outfit. I still have like almost 20 different pairs of braces. Just because I liked them. And since coming out, I originally wore them a little bit after I came out, but I'm going to be honest. I'll be perfectly honest with you. These are not great for wearing braces with. Yeah, suspenders just don't really go that well with boobs. So I wear them. I started wearing them less, and I pretty much never wear them anymore. So yeah, when I first came out, I sort of kept the same fashion sense that I'd already had, but over time, I've gradually gotten more and more of my own style, and it has changed a lot. Parents proud? Yes, they are. I've said that, I think, about 5 times today already, but yes, they are. I know you don't really have any reason to believe me, and I can't really prove that they are, but yes, they are. Am I happy? Yes, I am. Once again, yes, incredibly. Again, this is something which I feel like you might not believe me when I say it, but I genuinely am happier right now than I've been in my entire life. I'm extremely happy. Hate comments, they don't affect me. They do not affect my happiness. I am genuinely so happy with my life, with how I am, with who I am, with my friends, my family, my relationships. I am a happy person. Where am I from? Okay, I am from Yorkshire in the north of England. Uh, you might be able to tell by my accent if you are from the UK. Uh, yeah, born in Yorkshire, lived in Yorkshire all my life. Um, that's it. Apart from, I did live in Bath for 3 years while I was at university. But apart from that, I've always lived in Yorkshire. What do you identify as? I identify as a woman. I'm a trans woman. That's who I am. Simple enough. What did I study? I studied game design, computer science with a focus in game design. I learned how to code in C# and C++, HTML, JavaScript, etc., etc. Yeah, basically studied how to make video games, and it was very fun. Where's my piano? My piano is downstairs. Obviously, I'm not going to have a piano upstairs because the floor wouldn't take the weight of it. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be showing my piano today, but I do have another piano video coming on Friday, and I think in all likelihood I may do a future piano live stream. I think that would be something that would be quite interesting to try, is for me to do a live on the piano, and you could maybe give me requests of what to play. If you think that's something that would be worth me doing, then let me know, because I think it's something that could be quite fun. But for now, for today, we're not at the piano. What do I do now? Am I still into game design? Yes, I am. Um, I I haven't worked in game design since university, but I've sort of kept the kept my interest in it. I've sort of kept up to date with developments in software technology and stuff like that, and I'm always working on like small personal projects. There's quite a few. I've got quite a few game ideas, but obviously making an entire game by yourself is a very hard thing to do. There's a reason that solo developers are so like highly regarded, and it's because it's such a difficult thing to do. But I would love to do it. It's sort of a dream of mine is to one day be able to publish a video game that I've created entirely by myself. And at the minute, I'm working on a video game called The Spotter's Guide to Skelburn Park. I might actually put a link to it somewhere because I've got a TikTok for that game as well. Um, it's a pixel art bird watching game because obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I'm very interested in birds. My granddad got me into bird watching many years ago. Um, and yeah, I wanted to make a game where basically the point of the game is bird watching. Um, so that's the game that I'm working on at the minute, and I would like to show you some images of that at some point. Maybe I will. Um, yeah, that's my current project, and I'd like to hope that one day I will actually be able to get a game published, and I hope it's that one because it is sort of my passion project at the minute. Get a real hobby like football. No, I don't like football. Sorry. Do I play games? Yes, I do. In fact, I haven't actually shown you yet, but this is my computer setup. As you can see, there is a steering wheel here. I've got the corner desk, got the big monitor for gaming, and the little monitor for working. And the steering wheel and side panel, that's because I am a big fan of simulator games, Euro Truck, Farming Sim, etc., etc. And I wanted a desk where I could have the wheel like permanently set up, which is why I got the corner desk. But yeah, this is a steering wheel, as you can see. And I've even got the pedals for it down below. Yeah, so big on games, simulator games in particular, I'm a big fan of. But just games in general, I think my taste in games is like my taste in music, right? Like I don't have one specific genre that I'm into. I just like games from all different areas. But as I did mention earlier, my personal favorite video game of all time is Oddworld Abe's Exodus for the PS1. But yeah, big fan of games. Are those real? Once again, no, they're not real. Sorry. Am I planning on adding to the setup? That's an interesting question. So there is actually one thing that's not here on my setup at the minute. I've got a flashing beacon light, which I got with a special edition of Farming Simulator 22. There isn't really anywhere to put it on the desk, but I'd like to maybe mount it on the wall here or something at some point. And in terms of other expansions, I think I'd like to get more lights and stuff like that, because my desk is sort of in the corner of my room, and it's under a little alcove. There's like a big shelf up there, so it does get kind of quite dark in this corner on an evening. So if I were to expand it in any way, it'd probably just be getting more lights. What lipstick am I using? 1 second, actually. I'll go and get the actual stick. This is my lipstick. This is the one that I'm wearing in this video. It's Technic Colour Max Matte Edition. I don't know the name of the actual colours, but it's a sort of dark reddish colour. That's what I'm wearing right now. What gender are you? I'm genuinely confused. I'm a woman. That is my gender. Thank you. I love your accent. Thank you very much. As I've mentioned previously, I have a Yorkshire accent, but it's not a very thick Yorkshire accent. It's quite a shallow one because I'm from South Yorkshire, and the accent in South Yorkshire is not quite as strong as the accent in North Yorkshire. But yeah, it is a Yorkshire accent. That's what you're hearing. Thank you for complimenting it. When did I start my transition? 3 years ago, in 2021. I came out in came out in July 2021, so almost exactly 3 years ago. And I've been out ever since. Can I go back in? No, I'm sure you'd love me to, but I'm not going back in. No, I'm out and I'm staying out. Thank you. Thoughts on voice training? Good question. I have tried voice training 3 times. Most recently, I've been doing it for the last couple of months. But I really, really struggle with it. I don't get it. I think I'd probably benefit from taking like actual in-person lessons because there's a lot of online resources for voice training. Um, but watching videos of voice training, you don't really have the opportunity to ask the questions that you need to ask about the specifics of certain things. So yeah, I haven't gotten very far with it. I think I just don't get stuff like when I'm being told you need to change the shape of your throat or you need to move this part of your mouth in this way. I genuinely don't get it. Like I don't understand what I'm being asked to do. So yeah, the voice training very very difficult. I'm not doing too well with it. At the same time, though, I'm not like massively. I don't hate my voice. I don't like my voice, but I'm not like self conscious about it. Like I would rather have a different voice, but I also don't care what other people think of my voice, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, I'm quite happy with the voice that I've got at the minute. I would like to train it, but it's a very difficult thing to do. So we'll get there. Are my blue eyes real? Yes, these are my real eyes. I'm not wearing contacts. I do have blue eyes. Do I have a man? I don't have a man. No. Are you offering? Do I have a woman? Also, no. Not at the moment. But again, thank you for asking. Boy or girl? Go. Okay, so we've been going for about an hour and a half now. Uh, if people want to keep asking questions, I will keep answering. But if people are getting bored, then obviously I might start to try and bring things to a close. Would I change anything about my transition? Now, there's a good question. Um, I think the one thing that I would change is that I'd get things done sooner. I don't mean coming out sooner. I'm very happy with the age that I came out. I don't really have a problem with that. But I think in terms of how slowly I've progressed, I would have preferred to do things a little bit faster. Like I've only just recently changed my legal name. The like literally a few days ago, I signed the deed poll to confirm my change of name, and I wish that I'd done that 3 years ago, right? I wish that as soon as I'd came out, I'd gone and changed my name, but I didn't. And there's a few other things like that where I feel like if I could go back and do things differently, I'd just do things a bit quicker. Like I'd get the wheels turning a little bit quicker. But yeah, apart from that, no real regrets. I'm very happy with where I am right now. I'm only 25. I've got many more years to get on with my transition. I'm happy to take my time with it. There's just one or two things that I wish I'd done quicker. At least 40. Well, I think you might be exaggerating a little bit there. I am only 25, and I don't know what 40-year-olds you've been seeing, but they must be very youthful ones. Did I get it chopped off? Right, since so many people are asking this, I'm going to tell you. No, I didn't. I've still got it. I'm not going to show it to you if that's what you want. I'm sure that's why you're asking because you want to see it, but it's no, not going to happen. It's still there, uh, and it's fine. Do I believe in introducing this in schools? Okay. When you say introducing this in schools, what do you actually mean? Because when people say, do I believe in this being in schools, what they usually mean is, you know, they have this idea in their head that that trans people are being forced into schools, you know, this idea that, oh, teachers are forcing kids to be trans as young as 5 years old, like, that's not happening. None of that is happening. What is happening, and what I want to happen, and what most trans people want to happen, is for children to understand that we exist. That's it, right? I have a nephew who's 2 years old, and obviously at his age he understands nothing, right? Because he's 2 years old. But as soon as he's old enough to understand who I am, he should know, right? I am his auntie. I've always been called his auntie. That's how he will refer to me. That's how all the rest of the family refer to me when I'm being talked about. I am his auntie. And when he's old enough to know that, I want him to understand that I'm his auntie, right? That's all we actually mean when we talk about teaching children, right? We're not talking about telling children, oh, you should be trans, you should change this, you should chop it off or whatever. That's not what we mean. I want children to know that I exist. That's it. I just want children to know that I was born a boy, now I'm a girl, and that's fine. That's what teaching children about trans is to me. Just telling them that I exist and that that's okay. That would be called child cruelty. No, I don't think it is. As far as I know, in the 2 years that my nephew's been around, my sister has never been reported to social services for her kid having a trans relative. It's not it's not child abuse at all. I think what's on my birth certificate? What's on my birth certificate is my birth name, which is Saul James Bernard Ashbridge. If you want to know, again, listen carefully. Saul James Bernard Ashbridge. That is my birth name. And it says male on my birth certificate. Now you know, now it's out there in the world. Do what you want with that information. How do you stop children from wanting to copy as they don't know any better? Well, children copy all sorts of things, right? But we don't force children to not interact with those things, right? When children see superhero movies, they imitate the superhero characters, right? When they watch cartoons, they play out scenarios where they pretend to be those characters, right? We don't ban children from watching cartoons just because they might pretend to be a cartoon character for a few hours, right? The fact is that me being trans is not going to cause a kid to be trans, right? They might try dressing up because that's something that kids do, but seeing me just existing is not going to force a kid to be trans. How do I know that? Because everybody around me is cis, but I'm not. So how is it that when everybody around me is cis, I somehow wasn't? But just me, just one person being trans is somehow enough to confuse kids. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up, right? My being trans in front of kids is not going to change their gender. I am not going to make kids trans just by being in the same room as them. Are my friends supportive? Yes, they are. My friends are actually the first people that I came out to before I came out to my family. Some of my friends are already trans or non-binary, and I have other friends who are gay, bi, all other aspects of the queer community. I have cis-het friends as well. Don't worry, I don't leave anyone out. And all of my friends in general were very supportive about it. What do... okay. You give AGP. Are you into men or women? Okay. First of all, AGP is nonsense, been widely debunked. So we're really not going to talk too much about that. But I am into mostly women. But I would not be denying. I would be lying if I said that there weren't certain men out there who are also quite attractive. So I think if I had to give myself a label, I would probably say bi. Okay. Any more questions? Any more genuine questions? I like women mainly. Yes, I do mainly like women. But I would say probably bi, but with a lean towards women is probably the best answer. Why change teams if you like women? Okay, this is a bit of a confusing question because lesbians exist. Have you heard of lesbians? Right? I don't know how to tell you this, right, but there's this whole group of women out there who like women. Yeah, there's this whole group of people. There's this whole group of women who are attracted to other women. Wow, I know. Unbelievable, I know. So yeah, I can like women regardless of what gender I am. I don't have to be a man to like women. I don't I don't know how to explain that to you any better. Why am I promoting it? Shouldn't it be private? That's a very stupid thing to say. Um, do you go out in public and hide who you are? Like, do all men go out in public and pretend to not be men? Like, what have I got to hide? What part of myself am I hiding? I genuinely don't get that. When I go outside as myself. I literally have nothing to hide. I'm hiding my wood. I'm not actually hiding my wood. I'm not showing it on camera right now, obviously, because I'm sitting down. I don't hide it. I have nothing to hide. I don't actually tuck in public generally. So sorry to make you uncomfortable, but if you really are curious about whether I've got it or not, I do not hide it. I do not make any attempt to hide it, actually. So do I plan on getting anything more done in my transition? Yes, I do. I want to get on to HRT at some point. That's pretty much my only goal. I don't want any surgery, top or bottom, none of that. I'm quite happy with what I've got down there already. The only thing I really want is HRT so that I can make these real. That's pretty much it. Who is paying for all this? Not the UK taxpayer. No, I'm going private with it. As much as I would love to deprive the taxpayer of money to fund my transition, I don't want to be 13 years on the NHS waiting list. I'm going private. Don't worry, your taxpayer money is safe. It's going to go towards more important things like shooting people trying to get into this country. All those important things that the government tells you is a huge problem that we should be spending tons and tons of money on. Your taxpayer money can go on that instead. Do I want to change my voice? Yes, I do eventually, but I'm in no rush. I don't really, I don't really have much of a problem with my current voice. Big hands? I do have big hands. I've got a video coming out next week about big hands, actually. because it's a comment that I get a lot. Like, it's one of the most commented things on my videos is, wow, look at the size of those hands. These are pianists' hands. Look at those. Look at those fingers. These are big old piano players' hands. Yeah. Once again, I've got big hands, I've got an Adam's apple, I've got a defined jaw, I've got broad shoulders, I've got a masculine voice. Yes, I know all of those things. You don't have to remind me. I don't care. I'd make a good goalkeeper. Thank you for saying so. Well, you should care. Why? Why should I care? Why should I care what you think of me? Because when you leave negative comments, the only reason that you're leaving them is to try and provoke a negative reaction out of me. But you're just not going to get one. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction. You can say absolutely anything you like. You will not get that negative reaction. Full stop. So feel free to keep trying. Do I date guys or women? I date nobody. I'm alone. No, I'm not dating anyone at the minute. But I'm open to both. Is this a phase? Well, if it is a phase, it's been going on for 3 years so far. And how would I know it's a phase until it ends? So I think for now, we'll just assume that no, it isn't. What are my pronouns? My pronouns are she, her. Get yourself a doctor's appointment. I intend to, don't worry. And did you know that the recommended treatment for gender dysphoria is medical transition? If I see a doctor, the most likely thing that that doctor will tell me is to medically transition. So, yes, I will see a doctor, and he'll tell me exactly what I want to hear. Am I taking hormones? Not at the moment, unfortunately. I do intend to quite soon, hopefully, although I will be going private with it because quite soon is not, 7-year wait on the NHS. But I'm hoping within like the next year or so that I will be able to get myself on HRT. Not Gender GP. I was originally going to go with Gender GP, but a lot of stuff's come out lately about their practices, and they're not really the best people to go with. So I don't think I'm going to use Gender GP. I think in all likelihood I will probably go with Gender Care. That's the service that I'm looking at the minute. But either way, it's definitely going to be private. Have I thought of moving where the wait time's shorter? Not necessarily about wait times, but I have thought about moving to Scotland, just because they're generally way more accepting of trans people, and hopefully will be independent from the cesspool that is England within the next few years. So yeah, I would very much like to live in Scotland, and I think the second that Scotland gets their independence, I'm going. I'm gone. Mother or father? That's not really a question, but I do have a mother and father, yes. We don't want you. I'm sure you speak for the whole of Scotland when you say we don't want you. Yeah, I'm sure that is the opinion of every single person in Scotland. Again, toilets. You guys, you are really obsessed with toilets. I think you just go out in public to find toilets. Like, I'm sure you loiter around public toilets waiting for people to come out so you can police which toilet they've been into. But I will say it one more time for the record. I do not use public toilets at all. Thank you for asking again. Am I thinking of getting vocal surgery on my Adam's apple? So, vocal surgery and trachea shaving are actually two different surgeries. I don't plan on getting either of them. I am perfectly happy with just training my voice. I don't think I really need surgery to help with that. And the Adam's apple, that's staying. That I'm not getting rid of that for the express reason that it makes people uncomfortable to see a woman with a large Adam's apple. I don't care about it. I've always had it, and I always will have it. It's just there. What changing room do I go in? I don't go in any changing room because I don't do any activity that requires changing. I don't play any sports. I don't go swimming. So the last time I was in a changing room was in school. What's with my voice? This is just my voice. This is just the voice that I was born with. Well, actually, no, it's a little bit deeper than the one I was born with. But yeah, this is just my natural speaking voice. Yeah, shouldn't be in schools. I'm 25. Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be in schools because I'm 25. When I said the last time I was in a changing room was when I was at school, I meant when I was a child, right? I don't know if you can comprehend this, but when I was last in a public changing room, I was a child. And also, I think you'll find there are plenty of 25-year-olds in schools because most teachers tend to be older than that. Have I had the full operation? Nope. It's all still going on down there. It's all natural. It's all still there. If I got kicked in the balls, would I feel it? Probably. I mean, you'd have to find me first, but if you want to find me and come and give it a try and see if I feel pain down there, then you're more than welcome. Have I had top surgery? No, I haven't. These are not real. Where am I from? I am from Yorkshire in the UK. Do these questions affect my confidence? No, they do not. That's a good question. My confidence is unshakable. I would go so far as to say. I was never a very confident person as a child. Since coming out as trans, my confidence has just absolutely skyrocketed. Like I am not self-conscious about myself in any way. Nothing, literally nothing that anyone says to me, especially online, has any effect on my confidence at all. Why do you come online and do this then? Well, that's another good question. I come online to do stuff like this, to talk about myself, because there are other people like me out there and I want to reach them. You can see quite clearly from the comments that I receive that being trans in general is, it's something that gets a lot of hate, especially in online places. Um, and for the thousands of people out there that are spamming negative comments, there are also actual, genuine trans people watching this stream. And those are the people that I'm talking to. I'm not actually talking to you, you who comments gay or man or, tranny or whatever else you want to comment. I'm not I'm not speaking to you. I'm ignoring you. I'm speaking to the actual trans people who are watching, and that's why I do what I do. That's why I'm here, to speak to those people and to show those people solidarity, to make all trans people feel more accepted and show that they're not ignored, they're not irrelevant, and that even in a sea of negativity, I'm still here, I'm still standing, I'm still confident, and nothing's going to shake that. What's my favourite book? Oh, now there's a good question. We actually did some book unpacking earlier, and I think my favourite book is probably War of the Worlds. Um, as I mentioned earlier, sort of the progenitor of modern science fiction. Absolutely fantastic book. I listened to the audio drama, the infamous audio drama that people believed was real, way back in the 30s. Fantastic audio drama, fantastic book. I think, yeah. I've never really thought about a favorite book before, but if I had to choose, it would probably be that War of the Worlds. Have I read Of Mice and Men? Yes, I have. I read Of Mice and Men in school. So in my secondary school, we read Of Mice and Men and An Inspector Calls. Both fantastic books. It's shaking. Look at its hand. Okay, first of all, please don't call me an it. Second of all, yes, I am shaking, but that's not to do with any sort of nervousness. I just don't have very still hands. And yes, feel free to call me it. By the way, every time you comment it just shows me that you actually do understand gender neutral pronouns because you're calling me one. So thank you very much. If you really wanted to offend me, well, actually, there's literally nothing you could do, so I'll stop that sentence right there. But feel free to keep calling me it. And calling me he isn't going to do anything either. I knew you were going to go straight for that. Call me he as much as you want. I've been called he for 22 years. Actually, I've been called he for 25 years because even since coming out, most people still call me he. I don't care. Thing. We're all things. Every object is a thing. So yeah, I am a thing, technically. Okay, we're coming up on 2 hours now, so I am going to start wrapping things up very soon. This is going to be like the last chance for you to ask any actual genuine questions. Obviously, mostly it's just evolved into spam once again. But I will give you a last chance to ask any genuine questions if you want to before we wrap things up. What's my favourite colour? My favourite colour is green. Dark green, specifically. Like a nice sort of royal green. That's my favourite colour. How old am I? I am 25. Favourite TV series? Probably... Now that... I don't know, actually. That's a good question. I guess it depends. You'd have to be more specific because, like, if you were to say, for example, my favourite sitcom, I would say Red Dwarf. If you were to ask my favourite drama, I would have to think about that before I gave you an answer. But favourite TV show in general, I don't think I really have one. Is my hair real? Yes, this hair is 100% real. What's the lipstick I'm wearing? Once again, this is the lipstick. I got it out earlier to show. It's called Technicolor Max Matte Edition, and it's a sort of dark red colour. You seem so lovely. How do you cope with the hate? I cope with the hate by ignoring it. It just doesn't affect me in the slightest. So I welcome it, if anything. Friday night dinner or in-betweeners? Oh, now you're asking. Now you're asking something. I think probably in-betweeners just edges it out, but both fantastic shows. Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones? Ooh. Another good question, and if you didn't hate me before, you're gonna hate me now because I haven't actually watched Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones. Yeah, bring on the hate. I've watched neither of those shows. Sorry. The can is not empty. I was just about to take a drink when someone asked me a question. That's why I put it down. It is actually still got a little bit left in it. And yes, I just want to point out as well, even though I haven't watched Breaking Bad, I am aware of it, and I am aware of the spin off Better Call Saul. And yes, my name is Saul, and it has been frequently remarked upon. You don't need to go there, it's been done. What's my favourite band or singer? Um, I would probably say, in terms of a solo artist, David Bowie is my favourite artist. In terms of bands, I might be inclined to say Queen, actually. Queen, favourite band, David Bowie, favourite artist. Hobbies, I've got many a hobby, which I would love to talk more about. I have a model railway, I build Lego, I play video games, I garden, I birdwatch, I walk, I bicycle, and very soon I will be unicycling as well. I've got a lot. I've got a lot going on. A lot of hobbies. Oh, and I play the piano, obviously. Okay, we are actually starting to get a lot of genuine questions through now, which is a shame because I'm just about to start wrapping it up. But I will try and answer a couple more. Someone asked, "What's my favourite bird?" My favourite bird is the starling. Starlings are amazing. If you don't know about starlings, they're black with a sort of purpley green shine to them and white spots everywhere, and they can imitate a lot of sounds. I've actually heard them imitate voices before, and when I play the piano, sometimes I've actually heard starlings in the garden imitate the music that I'm playing on the piano, which is absolutely incredible. Like the idea that a bird can hear me playing the piano and copy it, it is absolutely incredible. So by far, starling, best bird. Are you comfortable in heels yet? Good question. I have worn heels exactly once ever. These are the only pair of heels that I own, and I wore them to a wedding reception. It is the one and only time I've ever worn heels before. It wasn't too bad. It was easier than I was expecting. Have I fully moved over? I guess by that, I think you mean, am I living full time as a woman? The answer is yes. Um, for the first year or so of my transition, I was sort of in and out. Like there were a lot of situations where I hid myself. You know, there were a lot of people that I didn't tell because I wasn't quite ready for it. But now I am fully out. To everyone I meet, I am out. Sorry. Everyone I know, I'm out to. I don't hide it. I am done with the hiding. I'm out full time. Whenever I meet new people, I meet them like this. I introduce myself as a woman. I live as a woman full time. I am fully 100% out. What football team do I support? I don't have any interest in football, but I will tell you the teams that some of my family members support so you can judge their choices. So, my dad supports Newcastle. He's a lifelong Newcastle fan. My brother supports Liverpool, and I think those are pretty much the only two family members that are actually interested in football. So there you go. But yeah, me personally, not a football fan. So I play games and do other male things, but don't like football. Okay, none of those are male things, right? Can we sort of clear that up a little bit? Football is not a male thing. Video games are not a male thing. There's no such thing as male or female things. Having a hobby or an interest in anything does not make you a specific gender. Yes, I am a woman. I'm a woman who plays video games. I'm a woman who is interested in trains. I'm a woman who plays with Lego. All of these things can be true. Favorite video game? My favorite video game of all time. I'll go and get it for you right now. Hold on. My favourite video game of all time is Oddworld Abe's Exodus for the PS1. And to a lesser extent, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, the previous game, also for the PS1. Literally the best game of all time. I am obsessed with this game. So yeah, that's my favourite game ever. The alien in the game looks hot. I don't think I've ever thought that about Abe before. I've got to be honest. But it is a fantastic game, whether or not you think the main character is hot. And it's one of those games that's got quite a few heavy political messages and themes. You know, I know that games weren't political before 2020, right? There was literally no such thing as political video games before 2020, right? But this game from 1998 is about capitalism, the exploitation of workers, naturism, the destruction of nature, and so on and so forth. So this game, it's very political to say that games were never political before 2020, right? But it's a great game all the same. Do I smoke or vape? No, I do not smoke or vape. What's my favourite piano piece? I think my favourite piano piece is probably the one that I most recently posted on my channel, which is the train chase from Wallace and Gromit, the Wrong Trousers. It is just so fun to play. There's a lot of piano pieces which sound really good, but actually playing them is not very fun. But with the train chase from the Wrong Trousers, just playing that is so fun. I could just sit and play that over and over again for an hour straight because it's just such a joy to play. And I think there are a few piano pieces that are like that are just such fun to do. Have I played The Last of Us? Yes, I have played The Last of Us. It's good. I don't really have any strong feelings about it. It's a good game. It's a fantastic game actually, but it's not like on my list of favorites or anything like that. Can I show the game again? Yes, I can. It's Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. This is the PS1 version, but it is also available on PC if you have a PC, and I believe also on PlayStation. If you look on like PlayStation Classics in the PS Store, you can still get this on the modern PlayStations. But the best way to get it is on Steam because it's like £2. It's called Oddworld Abe's Exodus. The main character is a Mudokon called Abe, and it is the sequel to this game, which is slightly less good in my opinion, but still a fantastic game. So if you are going to get them, get both. And, get the other games in the series if you want. Munch's Odyssey, Stranger's Wrath, New and Tasty, and Soulstorm are the other 4 games in the series. Some of them are better than others, but all in all, best game, my favourite game of all time, my favourite game series of all time. Yeah. Have I ever played COD? Oh boy, have I played COD. Yes. Zombies, specifically. I want to say, I am not really interested in the campaign or multiplayer of any of the COD games, but I am obsessed with COD Zombies. I can actually play some of the Perca-Cola jingles on the piano. And yeah, I love Call of Duty Zombies so much. My favourite game, I think, is probably Black Ops 3, just because of Zombies Chronicles, which added in a lot of maps from the older games as well. So just in terms of the amount of maps that you have to choose from, I would probably say Black Ops 3. My favourite individual map is Zetsubou no Shima, the Japanese map from Black Ops 3, followed probably by Ascension. So yeah, that's my opinion on Call of Duty Zombies. Oh, I knew I was going to get negative comments about Zetsubou no Shima. Yes, Zetsubou no Shima is an exceptionally difficult map. It's an exceptionally annoying map, and yet I just like it. I just think it's a good map. Do I have YouTube? I do not have YouTube, unfortunately. Der Eisendrache is a good map. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time talking about COD Zombies because people are here to talk about other stuff as well, but I think all the Black Ops 3 maps are great. Maybe the weakest one is probably Shadows of Evil, but I also think that's just because it's the base game map and I've played it so much that I'm like bored of it. But I think in general, there's not a bad map in Black Ops 3. That's all I'm going to say about COD Zombies. Let's talk about something else. Am I on estrogen or any hormone replacement treatments? No, I am not at the moment. I would like to be soon. Hopefully, I will be able to start doing HRT either this year or next. But at the minute, no. Okay, we've been going for over 2 hours now, so I am probably gonna bring things to a close. It's been an incredible stream. Thank you all for your questions. It's been a lot of fun answering them. There's been obviously a lot of spam and troll comments, but much less than last time, which is good. But yeah, it's been 2 hours. I need to take a break and do something else for a bit. This stream was not actually planned. It was sort of a last minute thing that I decided to do. My next proper stream is going to be on Monday at the same time. I think Monday is probably going to be my standard stream time. I'll stream every Monday. And on the other days of the week, I upload regular old TikTok videos. So if you want to follow me to see the kind of content that I make, then feel free. And if you just want to watch more live streams, then, like I say, they'll be every Monday at 3 p.m. UK time. But thank you all so much for watching. It's been a very fun stream. I've had a great time. Next time, I don't really know what I'll be doing next time. It will probably be a Q&A again, obviously. But I would, like I say, I'd like to think about the piano live stream. Maybe not next week, maybe the week after. But if that is something you'd like to see, do let me know. I would love to do a live stream where I'm just playing the piano and you can request certain pieces for me to play. That would be really cool. So not next week, but hopefully the week after, I'll do a stream, something like that. Yeah, that's all. That's all for today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for asking your questions. It's been absolutely incredible. The comments have been amazing. I'm getting some wonderful comments right now calling me gay. I mean, yeah, like, you're not wrong. So, but yeah, that's going to be it for today. I will see you all tomorrow for my next proper video, and I'll see you on Monday for my next live stream. Bye bye.